Hello everybody, my name's James and welcome to the Gameweek 13 Deadline stream, and it's live. Apologies for being a bit late this morning, and a few technical issues with the audio, but it's around about 53 minutes to the Gameweek 13 Deadline, and I will try and get through as many of your FPL dilemmas between now and the 11 AM UK time deadline. Before I do, let me take you through the graphics on screen. Top right hand corner you will see my team, which I discussed was the most likely move I was going to make on podcast yesterday. I went Phil Foden in for Wilfried Zaha, 1 free transfer. I line up this week with, yes, Danny Ward in goal. It's the first time for me. I have owned him all season, but it's the first time I'll be starting him. Danny Ward in goal. Back three of Doherty, Trippier, Cancello. Midfield four of Bowen, Salah, Foden, Martinelli. Captain Haaland, Mitrovic, Solanke. And we've got some decent coverage, I think, on the bench in Gay, Andreas Pereira, and I would have loved to have had confidence that Emerson Palmieri will start on Monday, but it doesn't look that way, so he's going to sit third sub. Nick Pope, obviously, reserve goalkeeper. Below that, you'll see my top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference. If any of you really believe it in Mo Salah today, and I think particularly if you don't think Darwin Núñez starts and you think Mo Salah's going to play up front, crack on, go for it, captain him. Personally, I can't look beyond Erling Haaland when they've scored, at least 4 in every home game so far. The ownership swings it that I don't need to take the chance. Salah will still do well for me if he returns. It's close enough that I don't think I need to swing against at this particular moment. And Brighton are going to be more open now under De Zerbi than I think they've been in the past. But who knows, they may play very differently at Man City, but they certainly didn't shut up shop when they went to Anfield, did they? So in order of preference, Haaland, Salah, De Bruyne, Foden. Núñez, if you think he will start, hogs the XG, doesn't he? So put him in there, but he's only 5th on the basis if you really believe you want a true mad differential and you believe he starts. I'm suspicious that he won't, personally. Jared Bowen at home to Bournemouth, decent. Kane and Son at home to Newcastle. Jesus would be the preference at Southampton. From the Arsenal assets, actually, for me for this particular game. And Schumacher at home to Bournemouth's decent as well. Obviously, Saka, Martinelli on there, great options as well, of course, absolutely. If it wasn't for Haaland and Salah, it could be wide open this week, actually. To the left of me, you'll see my correct score predictions for all 10 Premier League games this week. A few of them might surprise you. United to win at Chelsea, Leeds to beat Fulham, Newcastle to get signed at Tottenham. Those predictions might surprise you. They may not. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the fixture ticker for each team's next 5 fixtures, which of course runs beyond the World Cup and into game week 17 now. And right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the benching dilemma screen, which I'll take you through now very quickly. The player with the tick between the 2 options is the preferred player to start from those options. So I would go Mount over Callum Wilson, Wilson over Doherty, Doherty over Perisic, Perisic over Trippier on page 1. On page 2, Trippier over Cucurella, over Castagne, over Edouard, over Solanke. On page 3, Solanke over Eze, over Andreas Pereira, over Trossard, over Cody. On page 4, Cody over Gay, Gay over Dalot, Dalot over Mings, Mings over Emerson. And very subconsciously, I've realised I've put Andreas Pereira second on my bench, but on the bench in dilemmas, I put him above Gay. Right, I'm going to change that in my own team because I did that subconsciously. There must be a reason why I've done that, so I'm going to change it. So Andreas Pereira, he's going to jump up to first sub on my bench. That's not going to come back and bite me, is it? I'm sure it probably won't. Actually, yeah, I think Everton will probably score today. As I said, I fancy Leeds to beat Fulham tomorrow. They've shown better intensity in home games. And I fancy them to win. On Doherty and Perisic, just why I'm doing that briefly. James, should I start them? Look, predicted Tottenham team. I'll do it now. Conte, Romero. I wouldn't be surprised if that's Sanchez, by the way. Dyer, Longley, Emerson Royal, Bentancur, Bissouma, Højbjerg, Sessegnon, Kane and Son. But I would still start them because I think it's close enough that it's not obvious. And if Conte was lying and taking the piss and it's a front three, Perisic will play in the front three. He won't start Lucas. He said it's not ready. So if he does end up playing a front three, I think he would play Perisic in it. You want to take the chance of benching that. I think in most cases, no, I'd start it. Doherty, I don't think starts, but he's a much closer call with Emerson. I would, by the way, I want Emerson to play. And I want Sessegnon to play as a Spurs fan. in that game tomorrow. But for the FPL perspective, if you got Doherty or Perisic, in most cases, I would just play them and get on with it. Right, let's get into your cues then. I'll try and get through these as quick as I can. Vivek Gore says start Ward or Pickford. I'd still start Pickford, despite the fact I predicted Leicester for a clean sheet and not Everton. I think the logic on that one is close enough that I would go Pickford. Whereas Pope going to Tottenham, look, can Pope haul? I mean, if he keeps a clean sheet, it'll be massive. But I think we've only failed to score in 2 home games since Conte come in. I would expect us to score. Everton at home to Palace, decent fixture. I would still go Pickford, I think, on the fixture there. Steve says, morning James, on wildcard, last place to Saka or Darwin, thanks. I'd go Saka. Saka's the one player I don't have in my team, which I think is regrettable at the moment more than any other, actually. Jay said, good morning James, I'm currently on a wildcard and have a dilemma for the final striker spot. Would you take Mitro or Ivan Toney for the next 4? It's close. You want it right till the end? I think if you want it right to the end, I'd go Toney. And I think purely because if you land in a nice position, you can take a 1 week punt to remove him right at the end. Whereas Mitrovic has the same fixture but a week earlier, so you might feel compelled to sell that before. I think over the 4, Toney's got the better of it. With Wolves at home, Forest away, I think he's got the better of it. Andrew Jarvis says, morning James, is there any merit in taking -8 to move Kane and Mount to Salah and Shamaka? Salah twice, then yeah, Salah and Shamaka. Haaland captain, I don't think it's justified, but keen to hear your thoughts. Good luck for the game week. No, mate. No, I don't think it is. Mason Mount almost certainly starts for Chelsea today. Harry's Harry. -8 to remove those 2 players. It's a no for me. And it would have been a no even if you'd said you was going to captain Salah, I think, Andrew. I'd actually rather have Harry for this last bit than Salah. Shamaka I've got eyes on. For -8, it's a no, mate. Stephen B says, morning, do you think Gabriel's worth the extra over Ben White? No. No, I don't. That doesn't mean you should move from Gabriel to Ben White. But if I was on wildcard now, for example, Ben White is the Arsenal asset I'd go for. He's playing right back. I think we can get sucked into the, Ben White, it's boring. Listen, he's not going to get you, 18 pointers and stuff, but he might drop in an attacking return over these 4, so it's a little bit better than what we'd normally expect from him if he was playing centre back. So yeah, I would go Ben White at the moment. I wouldn't have concerns about his starts, to be totally honest. RBKK2009 says, good morning James, cheers as ever for the great content, thank you. Joe Knight says, start Nico Williams versus Liverpool is Stupidan versus City. Reece James is injured, don't want to take a -4 to get rid this week, had bigger problems. I would take -4. Yeah, it's a rare one. I discussed this in the week about hits for defenders, and as it turned out, there was quite a few clean sheets. But I'd stand by my view that most hits for defenders in midweek weren't worth it, except for where I gave the example that you have Reece James. It's got to go. And what you're bringing in, Joe, is so shite. Estupiñán and Nico Williams are potential problems for you ongoing as well. I'd get that fixed. Of the 2, if you really don't want to do it, I'd start Nico Williams. He will start because of the issues they've got at left back, I think. And it might be, as I discussed yesterday on the pod, that Aurea might even play left back and Williams right back. Estupiñán I've got in my predicted Brighton team today, but I would play Williams of the 2. We did have a discussion towards the start of the podcast yesterday about Williams versus Dunk. Suj was of the opinion he'd play Dunk. I was of the opinion I'd play Williams. Steve says, thinking ahead on the unlimited transfers during the World Cup, are there going to be price changes? Apparently everything's frozen as far as I'm aware. And that's a long way away. Yo says, start Anderson or Trent, start Solanke or Andreas. I think it's debatable whether Trent starts or not, certainly. I don't think... I don't think that... Sorry, I just checking for news because I am going to keep my eyes on obviously what's potentially happening with Liverpool this morning. Check your sources before you put something in the chat. Make sure it's not Buna, yeah, because he's going to tweet something about the Liverpool team. So certainty. I don't think it certainly starts, but if you own Trent Alexander-Arnold, unless we've got the information in the next 45 minutes or slightly less, then you've got to play him. Solanke versus Andreas, I'm going with Solanke. FPL Matt says, done Trossard to Martinelli this week, only one free transfer and couldn't afford Foden. Worth getting James out for White for a -4. We'll play Andreas if I don't. Cheers. I'm going to say yes because the two Arsenal fixtures together, what will define it? I assume, Matt, you will want to play White next week at home to Nottingham Forest. And there's every chance you'll want to play him at Wolves on the final day. So if you judge it over that, I say the final day, obviously Gameweek 16 before we finish. If you judge it on that, yeah, I'd go to -4. Yeah, I'll do it. For Reece James, because we know that he's out. Oberzi says Trent and Nunes for Alba and Perisic with a -4 if Nunes starts. What about if Trent starts? I mean, on the face of it, yeah, I don't mind that as a -4. Vivek Gore says keep Welbeck or Gay as the first sub. Have Doherty in the playing 11 fear a sub is needed. Probably Gay. Close that. I don't have Welbeck in my predicted Brighton lineup today, if that helps. RBKK 2009 on wildcard. Alisson, Andreas or Almiron and any 4.5. I'm going to switch it up for you, mate, and say don't spend all the money. Andreas and a 4.5. My preference would be Pickford at this point, by the way. I'd keep the money in the bank. That would be my take. You may find that very useful. You don't have to spend all the money. Emily Sissoni says, hey, James, who do you think will be Aston Villa manager? And in your opinion, who would be the best fit? Also, who would you start out? Justin and Anderson? There's a lot going on there. Justin Anderson, I'll go Justin. Next Aston Villa manager. I don't know. It's beginning to feel like a poison chalice, to be totally honest. We'll speak about that on the fan view. Lee Jackson will be joining me on Tuesday for a deeper chat about Aston Villa. I've not looked at the betting markets or anything, so I'm not sure who's in contention. I'm aware that it looks like it won't be Maurizio Pochettino. That would definitely be the first choice, so I think they should go for. And in the first instance, Villa should be sounding out people like Thomas Tuchel if they want to be serious about themselves. I suspect that's probably going to be a no as well, but they should ask in the first instance. FPL Mingo says Darwin captain over Haaland. That's a statement. Thank you. Hannah Murphy says, morning, James. I either choose Emerson, Nico Williams or Dunk to start or take a -4 to bring in someone better like White. Yeah, similar to what I'd answered earlier. The Emerson in that dilemma makes that a little bit worse because if you knew Emerson would play, you'd be pretty happy with that this week, I think. But what I'd say is if you don't do it now, you have the same problem next week. Williams goes to Arsenal, Dunk's got Chelsea at home, and then Emerson goes to Manchester United. So you're not going to like it next week either, Hannah. So I'd get it fixed, to be totally honest. Josh Hinchcliffe says, hi James, just wondered if owning both Doherty and Perisic would change your opinion on selling either of them. Cheers. Yeah. If you've got both, that's... If I had both, I'd sell Perisic first. There's two reasons for that. One is the value. And I think he's less likely to start of the two. The other thing to bear in mind here, like if they don't start this weekend and you own them, don't panic sell them. Because we've got Bournemouth away next week, and I've spoken about this on a number of streams over the last couple of weeks. This period, there's certainly going to be rotation. We've got Newcastle tomorrow, we've got Sporting Lisbon Wednesday, we've got Bournemouth Saturday, we've got Marseille Tuesday. So, my instinct to me as a Doherty owner, let me give you an example. I think Emerson comes back in tomorrow, and I think Emerson plays the 2 Champions League games. So I think Doherty starts at Bournemouth right now, and I might feel differently come Thursday, Friday. But I think Doherty starts at Bournemouth next week if Emerson comes in the team. Now, if Doherty starts tomorrow, I might even be more inclined to sell him afterwards. Does that make sense? Perisic is a harder call. My thought process on the moment is that Conte knows that I think Sessegnon should be first choice. But the performance against Everton, where Perisic had played, was better, and he wanted to try and get some momentum back in him. That's how I felt. On Perisic, as I said right at the start of the stream, Conte was so open that it was going to be a midfield 5 that it made me suspicious that he might go for a front 3 in this game. Because before United, he was like, oh, we have these options to play 3 up front. And I had people DMing me saying, is Brian Hill going to start? And it's nonsense like this. Fortunately, he was so clear yesterday. I've had none of this. But it's also maybe a little bit suspicious that there is a small chance that Perisic might start in the front 3. Now, do you want to sell that? No, but I think the Perisic pain could be ongoing. Doherty might come back for a bit of a love next week at Bournemouth, actually. So if I had both, yes. And I also think, by the way, Josh, if you're in a comfortable position where you're totally happy with all your attacking players, yeah, I'd sell. So if I was sitting there now, hadn't used the transfer and had enough money in the bank to go Doherty to Van Dijk, for example, which I do, I'd do it. I'd do it. Similar with Perisic. But I don't think it's worth the -4 when particularly in Doherty's case, I think, even though I don't think he starts this week, I think he starts at Bournemouth next week. And of course, I could be completely wrong, and he plays against Newcastle tomorrow. So I think the Doherty one's close to call. I'd be surprised if Sessegnon didn't start tomorrow. Hope that helps. Ayub Seller says, hi James, should I take a hit to move Gross to Saka? Can't get to Foden, or just leave it and play Andreas? Thanks. No, on that I'd take the hit. Darko Tarandic says, hi James, thoughts on Xhaka instead of Martinelli? Don't have enough budget for Martinelli and wildcard. Thanks and good luck. I don't want to tell you to rip up your wildcard at this stage, mate. So yes, Granit Xhaka is a reasonable get. Go for it. Lewis Cole says, hi James, start Andreas or Bailey? Cheers. It's got to be Andreas, isn't it? Surely. Checks benching dilemma screen. Is Leon Bailey not in? Leon Bailey's not even made it, mate. So yeah, Andreas Pereira. Patrick Lawson says, morning James, still can't decide between Foden and Saka. Is it worth bringing both in for a hit and selling one of Andreas or Almiron, or wait until next week? Well, if you're going to start one of those two, then there's a case to say okay. But next week, here's the interesting thing, Patrick. Next week, Andreas has got Everton at home. Almiron's got Villa at home. Do you want to sell either of them next week? I think in that position, I'd take the -4 and go for it. And I think despite his brilliant form, I'd probably sell Almiron of the two, just from a value perspective. That it might enable something better for your next move, because presumably once you've made the move, it's going to be difficult, I'm going to guess, for Almiron or Pereira to start in your team, so I'll therefore just sell Almiron. Divesh says, good morning James, already taken a hit, Trossard and Kane to Foden and Darwin. Darwin seems to have a big haul potential, but his injury news now seems off-putting. Yeah, it is. I mean, I my best guess, and it's little more than a guess, my best guess is that he won't start Nunes, but I have no inside information on that. Hopefully we'll have something in the next half hour. But my instinct would be that Firmino will play, which I think would be good news for Salah, obviously, as well, it's worth saying. So I just had a DM from someone just to make it. Douglas Luiz is available for Aston Villa this week. His red card was overturned against Fulham. That's why he's available. Oh, God, Leon. So late in the day for DMs. Sorry, I'm trying to help people. Don't DM me, please. Atul says, hey, James, would you start Trippier or Xhaka? Good question. I think I'd probably start Xhaka, to be honest. Yeah, I think I would. Raymond Reddington, hi James. Barnes to Saka or Rashford for a -4. We already got Foden. Do you want to take as good as he's been, Rashford, or in midweek, and as much as I've spoken up his returns actually against a better opposition, it was at -4 for Rashford away to Chelsea. Doesn't feel quite right, mate. So it's for Saka, isn't it? Atul says, hey James, oh, you've done it twice, mate. I might have to ban you, Atul. TJ Rocho says, morning. I won't, mate. TJ Rocho says, morning, James. Ward or Pope? I would have double defence in both cases. -4 for an Arsenal defender to avoid playing Botman. Thanks, mate. Discussed this on the pod yesterday. And I, White -4 for Botman. No, it's not quite like the Reece James situation, or you kind of dunk Nico Williams, I don't think, because Botman's still great for next week, right? So it's a little bit different. Then it's on 1 week. Don't think it's worth it. Ward Pope, I explained it yesterday on the pod. It's not Pope away to Tottenham. It's Ward away to Wolves. They're impotent, Wolves. And let's look at 3 clean sheets in 4, and admittedly they're all at home. But I think against Wolves, that's worth chances. It's more about Ward at Wolves than Pope at Tottenham. So I'm not bothered playing Trippier at Tottenham. And I don't think like there's anything wrong with playing Pope at Tottenham. Not at all. As I've said, I think Newcastle will probably get something tomorrow. But just Wolves, I think it could be there, right? They do have a few shots and distance and stuff. So, you know, could he... I mean, he got bonus points on the other night against Leeds for doing not very much. So, I think he's possibly there for Danny Ward this week as a one-time. It definitely would be a one-time as well. It's Man City next week. Tim Kresner says, thoughts on Firmino's Liverpool cover today on wildcard, and we'll move to Kane next week. Just go Kane now, mate. Tim, honestly. Are we in a position where we think Roberto Firmino is a better option than Harry Kane this week? Because you want Liverpool coverage. Just go Kane now, mate. Rhino says, hi James, Son to KDB worth a hit? No. Eshan says, hi James, if Trent doesn't play, thoughts on Trent to White, Foden for Anthony, third transfer will be Saka for Sinistera, or Nunes for Solanke for a -8. You've got a lot going on there, Eshan, and I appreciate you condensed that into not many words, but I think that there's so many different options going on there in so little words. I probably wouldn't do anything, mate. I mean, if Trent doesn't play this week, do you still want him next week at home to Leeds? Yeah. Probably just accept the fate and get on with it, I think. FPL Finding Glory says, morning James, on a wild card, 2 questions. 1, Bowen or Saka. 2, which 2 goalies for under 9.5 total. Good luck for game week and thanks as always. I wouldn't worry about spending all the money with the keepers. Honestly, I'd just go Pickford and Ward. I think that's pretty decent for what's left. Bowen or Saka, for me, I would question going Saka for the first 2 and then Bowen for the last 2. But then you do miss Bowen at home to Bournemouth as well. So if it's a player you think you need to keep, I'd still go Bowen. You can still have other Arsenal options such as Xhaka, we've spoken about. Obviously Martinelli, Jesus. Whereas West Ham, we've only got the 2 choices really, I think, with Bowen and Schumacher. So it would be Bowen for me. Lee Jackson says, hi James, any chance of a pod on the Gerrard sacking? Yep, I'll speak to you Tuesday, mate. Melinda Prihar says, Perisic, Salah to Cancello worth a -4. Oh, Saliba even. Could lose Nico, but also trying to keep some in bank for a post-Darwin upgrade if he keeps Salah out. Right. No. It's a no from me. Nah. Perisic to Cancello is tempting. I wouldn't go Saliba to Cancello until he'd had that yellow card. Yeah, I think if you can go Perisic Cancello -4, I think I'd do it actually. You know that there can be pain in there. Like, you know, every week owning even Perisic, there can be pain either way. So, yeah, actually, Perisic Cancello, if you can do that for -4, I think I would. Cancelo's got to outscore Perisic over these 4 games by more than 4, surely. Static says, morning James, hope you and the fam are well. Would you get Darwin on wildcard and bench him for this week to get Firmino and book a transfer in? No, I wouldn't. I'd be packing my midfield with Bowen, Saka, Foden, Martinelli, maybe even a Mount and Maddison. I'd be packing out that area and I'd be going like Kane and Haaland up front. And maybe a third like Tony, Mitrovic. I'd probably go Schumacher actually at this stage. It's obviously then just 4 in midfield if you go with Schumacher. I'd be packing that out and I'd be taking a gamble on Liverpool defensively. And I'd go Van Dijk at the moment, as I've spoken about on a few bits of content this week. Just because it's small period of fixtures. And you know he's going to start all 4. Cyrus Barnard, is Bowen to Saka next week back to Bowen something you would do? I don't hate that, Cyrus, to be totally honest. But you need to be in a position where your team's very well set. And there's a chance that I probably won't be. That said, if I get to next week and I don't have any injury issues, because Gay's at home to Southampton, Pereira's at home to Everton as well, if I'm really confident as well that Doherty starts at Bournemouth, I might do it. Yeah, possibly. A different way of looking at it would be Bowen to Saka and then come back potentially Solanke to Schumacher in my case, for example. But yeah, if you're in a really, really good position, I don't hate it. Bowen's returns away from home are shite and then Saka walks into Chelsea. Who's next? Alex Abdella, if we get a team leak and Mo is playing through the middle, captain over Haaland, if Darwin is not playing but Bobby is, would you bring him in for a punt? Thanks. I just feel like we've been here so many times with Bobby Firmino. The difference now between previous seasons is you don't feel like he's blocking you a third Liverpool asset, I guess. So it's more reasonable to go for him than it has been in the past. But I just think if Firmino's playing and Núñez isn't, Firmino has complete responsibility to conduct and link that team between midfield and top. So I just wouldn't be that interested, to be honest. I don't know if I already answered that question. FPL Red says, all right, James, top lad, start Andreas or Solanke. No, I'd go with the definite talisman. I would go with Solanke, mate. Next week, with Solanke playing Tottenham and Pereira playing Everton, I would go Pereira, but this week's Solanke. Karan Yadif on wildcard, should I transfer Jesus in for Tony, or Darwin in for Tony, or stick with Tony? Thanks for your work and good luck. I mean, probably stick with Tony, mate, to be totally honest. Tom Campbell, the legend, Utley TC's in, says, morning, James, mate. Hope you're good. Do you like Palace defence over Everton defence this week? No, I mean, on the bench in dilemmas, Tom, I've got Cody above Gay, and they're right next to each other. I mean, I do think it'd be a draw. No, I think the thing is with both of these defences, if you put the back four of both teams on paper, would you expect any of them to get attacking returns? No, not overly. So probably Everton. Probably Everton for this week. If you ask me next week, I think that becomes Palace. Overall 4, I think Everton, if you were getting one in on wildcard at this stage. But I'd much prefer Pickford over Gator, for example. James Nelson says... No, sorry. Ryan Renfrey says, hi, James. Thanks for a great week of content. As always, would you take a -4 to move Callum Wilson on? Thinking either Jesus or Núñez. My other 2 strikers are Haaland and Mitrovic. Thanks, mate. Jesus will certainly be tempting. But can Wilson return at Tottenham? Yes. Is Jesus worth a -4? I'm going to say no. Wilson's got Villa, Southampton next 2 afterwards. Not bad to sit and look at it. And then he goes to Chelsea. You know, well, you've got Chelsea at home final day. Is that okay? It's reasonable. I don't think, not a -4. I don't think so, no. Thomas says, morning, James. Who to prioritise, Cancello or Foden, Saka in? Oh, that's interesting. I think Foden. James Nelson says, good morning, James. Hope you're well and thanks for the content. Which 2 out of Mitrovic, Tony, Schumacher would you go for on wildcard? Schumacher would be the first for me, actually. It's really close between the others. I think there's also a case to say go Mitrovic and Tony, and like Mitrovic to Schumacher is a move I spoke about yesterday a lot in game week 15. I'd maybe consider that. Just get another look at Schumacher first, and then come back to him. I think actually, ironically, although Schumacher's the one I'd want, I'd go Mitrovic and Tony, and I'd go Mitrovic to Schumacher in 15 if you were going to. Thomas Hall says, Zaha to Saka for a hit. Top content all week as per, mate. Not for a hit, no. Again, look, Zaha's got 4 great fixtures. You'd absolutely need Saka to go off this particular week and Zaha to not. So, no. Next week, Zaha's got Southampton at home. That doesn't become any easier. So, that's why I did it for free. Get him out before I decided to do anything else. Scott Dunkley says, morning, mate. Who do you prefer for the next 4? Joe Gomez or Ben White? Ben White. Comfortably. Because I know that Konate is likely back in training towards the end of next week, and that's going to put some pressure on. Gaz Burns says, who do I bench, Gay or Trips? It'd be Gay for me. Ben Murphy, hey James, Trent versus Tony for wildcard. Also, is Carvalho worth a punt over Pereira? No, I wouldn't go for Carvalho. Okay, I had a source that said to us that Robertson and Milner start for Liverpool. Trent is benched. That's the rumour going around at the moment. And I've had someone else say Andy's shared that information. Let's talk FPL. And I'm 99% sure Andy wouldn't share that information unless he truly believed it. It's not to say it's 100% correct, but Andy wouldn't share that information unless he thought that was correct, I'm certain. So thank you, Tim and Rasmus, for that. That's really helpful. So we think, I guess that would be Milner at right back, obviously Robertson at left back. We think Trent a sub. So there's lots of people in here who have been thinking, oh, does he start or not? My take would be bench it, because I think Trent for the last 3 is really good. Unless you're in a real shit situation, but I'd still move something else. I'd say to you, why did you go to Trent? You would have known this was a possibility in these games, over these 5 games, that Trent could get a bench in somewhere. The fixtures afterwards, Leeds, Tottenham, Southampton, still good. I'd keep him. I certainly wouldn't be taking hits to move him out. If you can move, if you can move to Cancello if you don't own for something for free, then yes. But I think in most cases, I'd just hold Trent and I'd bench him. That would be my take. That's my initial reaction to that. Ben Murphy says, hey James, Trent versus Tony for wildcard. I'm going to have to say Tony at the moment, and I also is Carvalho worth a punt over Pereira. I'm going to say no on that one. I mean, it's cheeky and I don't hate it, but it would be a no. James says, start Sessegnon or Castagne. Start Sessegnon, mate. I think he will start. Tex Villa says Darwin play. I presume that's meant to have a question on the end, which he has added, in fairness. I don't know. We haven't got the information. My best guess is sub, probably. Moss says, James's silly question for you for a hit. Trossard and Zaha are out for Saka and Rashford. I'm going to assume that you don't need to sell Zaha to fund one of those moves. Can you go to Trossard to Saka? Maybe you do. You probably do, don't you? I would, in that case, if you really want Rashford, I'd probably just go Trossard to Rashford and sit tight. Gaz Burns says, I see you sub Gay answers my above question. There you go. Adam says, Firmino or Nunes for Aubameyang if both start as a 1 week punt. Firmino or Nunes for Aubameyang if both start as a 1 week punt. If we have to both start, Nunes. Francis Logan says, Salah to Bruno, Tony to Jesus, or Nunes extra funds to go 3-5-2. Which Bruno? There's 2 very good ones in our league, mate. But you're not selling Mo Salah, surely. Lewis Cole says, before Forest. Lewis Cole says, hi James, play Bailey or Gay, cheers. I'd have Bailey's. He's been a fucking nightmare, hasn't he? I'll probably play Bailey though, I think, with the fixture. They might be revitalised tomorrow. There's no way of knowing. Rob Pick says, hi mate, where do you have Kurt Zuma in regards to benching dilemmas? I have him just behind the cat, mate. You don't want Kurt Zuma. He's a cat kicker. You don't want him in your team, mate. Where would I have him benching dilemmas? He wouldn't be there, mate, because he'd be starting. Yeah, home to Bournemouth starts, mate. Need to start 2 of Doherty, Zuma, Solanke, and Pereira. Going my instinct that Doherty's bench, but not sure which other. Like, I think on that one, yeah, Zuma ahead, yeah. There are plenty of cases where there are players who are not in the benching dilemmas who would start over a Doherty, and I think Zuma certainly falls into that category. Definite starter, for example. Joe Singh says, hi James, a good day to you. Need cash, sell Kane or Salah. But what do you need the cash for? I'm going to say sell neither. Adam says, morning James, who to bench between Trippier, Gomez and White? Who's Gomez? Is it Toti Gomez? And White, have a good week. Toti Gomez won't play, if that's who you're asking. Have I missed another Gomez? Oh, you probably mean Joe Gomez, don't you? It's with a Z, my friend. It's okay. Who to bench from them? Ben White with the away game, I think. Daniel Thomas says, hi James, Paul O'Keefe has just tweeted he expects Everton start instead of Doherty. Would this be enough to make you start Gay over Doherty? No, because Paul O'Keefe's only expecting what I'm expecting, mate. So it doesn't make a difference. Paul's not been right on a lot of things recently. I'm sure he probably is right on that, and I think Emerson will play. But I'm not taking a chance that's wrong. Last season, when we beat Newcastle 5-1, Doherty played left wing back. And Emerson played right wing back. And I'm not ruling that out as a complete impossibility either. I'd be very surprised with Sessegnon and Perisic both fit. It'd be slightly bizarre, but it's not impossible. So no, I'm going to take it. I'm sitting here thinking it's 15-20% chance Doherty starts. I'm not moving it. The training today, Emerson might get injured in training. Alistair Hargreaves says, Saka in for Zaha, Bowen out for Foden. Saka in for Zaha, Bowen out for Foden. Yeah, don't mind it. I'm a bit loath to get rid of Bowden at home to Bournemouth, but I don't mind it. If I didn't say thank you Rasmus and Tim, by the way, thank you Rasmus and Tim. Craig Gardner says Rashford worthwhile on wildcard. I don't hate it. It's decent value. Are they great fixture? West Ham, Villa, Fulham. I don't hate it. Like, if you've got a real preference for it, at his value in and around Martinelli, great. But I wouldn't pick him over Martinelli, for example. Swabia says, start Gay or Solanke. I'm going Solanke. Daniel Thomas. PS up the Swans in the South Wales derby today. Good luck if you're a Swans or a Bluebird today. Bronny and Bronze says Perisic over Gay is a tough one. Paul predicted no Perisic, and Everton are bottom for XG. Your thoughts? My thoughts are that Decore is missing for Palace, and that's a big deal. Yes, FPL have finally flagged him. He is suspended. Donald D said, I still would go Perisic, similar to what I've been saying with Doherty. Even though I don't think he starts. He's not impossible. Perisic plays in front three. He's not impossible. If you really, really fancy Palace for a clean sheet, start Gay. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Donald D says, good morning, Jays. No question. Hope all is well. Come on, people. Smash the like, as the info is always good. Cheers. Ah, yes. Thank you, Donald. Very kind of you. Yes, can we smash a like, people? There's 550 or so of you in, and around about 15% of you have pressed the fun button. I mean, it doesn't cost anything. It's a free stream. It'd be appreciated, guys. Thank you. Pat Vivat says, lineup leak for Liverpool FC. No, I don't have it. I have covered it for those joining in late. Andy, Let's Talk FPL, has said he's heard that Trent is a sub, Robertson and Milner start. That's all the information that I have currently. It's not my information. I'm just nicking it from someone else. Ben M says, -4. Zaha and Trossard to Foden and Xhaka. Yes, or bench Trossard. Play Kilman. Cheers always. Oh, yeah, Kilman's okay. Home to Leicester. I think that's very reasonable. Cal says, morning, James. If you had to choose who to bench out of Doherty and Perisic or Pereira, who would you go with? Pereira. Honestly, I think so, yeah. Yeah. Alex Peary says, hi, mate. Hope you're good. Would you start Harrison or Doherty? Both potential rotationers. I think Harrison will start, but I'd play Doherty. Sam Taylor says, morning, James. I don't have Martinelli or Saka. Can bring either in for a hit this week for Barnes. Which would you prioritise? Cheers. Yeah, I think because of what Barnes has got next, that's reasonable. I was just double checking on Leicester's fixtures. The interesting thing is, no Cole will compete for Southampton. I think they'll go to a flat 5. I think Stuart Armstrong might even play right wing back. But Forest have much bigger left side issues than right side issues. I'm thinking about next week as well. I think Saka. Yeah, I think Saka's close though. I think Saka. Chris Hermitage says, who do you expect Spurs to play at right wing back for both games this week? Emerson for one and Doherty for one. Do you mean in midweek? So I think Emerson plays tomorrow and I think Emerson plays on Wednesday. And I think Doherty plays on Saturday. There you go. That would be my prediction now. Sayers says, Nico or Emerson for White, Gabriel Saliba for a hit for a third defender. Doesn't feel right taking a hit for like a Saliba and stuff on 4 yellows. And yeah, it's not that appealing, but similar to what I'd been saying a few other start of the stream, fine over the 4 weeks. Yeah, go for it. I'd just go White. I wouldn't bother paying the extra. Ryan Renfrey says, Gator or Ward for starting goalkeeper this week. I would go Ward. Yeah, it's solid. Carl Valencia says, Mitrovic or Tony is literally a coin toss. Both should do well. Yeah, that's very fair, Carl. Woody88 says, I'm looking to do block Man City defence on Sky. Who out of Akanji and Aki is more likely to start? Probably Akanji, but I don't know. He's going to rotate those positions. It's probably Akanji. I really don't know. Bronny and Bruns, I feel like I've already answered your question, but thank you. Ankit says, Saka or Martinelli? Question. To buy, to start, kind of just covered this for someone else. Andrew Jarvis, you're very welcome, Jarvo. Have a good weekend, mate. Shane Roberts says, is it worth getting rid of Anthony and Cancello to get Salah and 3.9 defender for 4 points? No, Shane. No, it's not. FPL Clyde, do you think Doherty starts, James? I think I've just covered that and you probably would have heard. Oh, I've missed one now. GP, start Johnny or Gay or Botman? I think Gay. I don't think Johnny starts for Wolves, judging on the team that was picked at Palace, judging on the fact that Bueno was really good and Aït-Nouri's back from illness. I don't think Johnny would start. Botman's away to Tottenham, and I think there you give the preference to Gay. The Rude Rube says Solanke or Pereira. I've gone Solanke. Jack C says, what did you make United v Spurs game midweek? I highly recommend you listen back to look at the timestamps for yesterday's podcast for about 15 minutes. And I thought United were outstanding. But highly, highly recommend listening to how I broke down the game on yesterday's podcast. Wayne Jones says, hey James, good morning. Darwin and Zaha to Jesus and Foden, -4. zero point 0.0 left in the bank, and I turned it down because I just can't sell Darwin right now. Sticking with you to 11 and hope some news breaks. I think that's fine. I mean, and yes, stick with me. I've got my eyes on things. If there's anything interesting, patrons, Slack, tag me please if we've got anything. Which we don't at the moment, other than what I've already shared. To repeat, Andy, Let's Talk FPL, has said he's heard that Milner and Robertson start and Trent is a sub, is what he's heard. Josh 14X says, how many of the next 4 do you reckon Doherty starts if all fit? I'm going to presume your question is for the league games. 1, Bournemouth away next week. Bandido says, Doherty and Perisic not in 11 according to Paul. Yeah, Paul's been wrong a lot lately, and Bandido, I know this. I've spoken about it about 50 times on this podcast, but thanks for chipping in. Craig G says, hey James, I've got a back 5 of Perisic, Trippier, Cancello, Emerson and Tosin. Planning Zaha to Foden worth a -4 to get White in to that defence. God, it's not great with Adebayo now out the Fulham team as well. Something needs fixing there badly, mate. I mean, in theory, I'd go Cancello, Trippier, Perisic this week, leave it. I'd go Zaha to Foden. I wouldn't take the hit. Assuming you've got enough attacking players, that means you just play those 3 at the back. Will be very similar to mine, so I'd go with that. John Cahill says, morning James, mate. I've got Perisic and Doherty start 1, knowing they're both likely bench. Who would you start, assuming they both get cameos? Perisic. No, Doherty. Doherty because I have more chance, more optimism about a start out of the 2. But then Perisic, like I said, if Conte decides to go back to the front 3, Perisic starts up front. Now, I think that's a very, very small chance. But this is why I can't really be advising that these guys go this week, I don't think. If I had enough confidence that I really thought Palace would keep a clean sheet at Everton, I'd probably pay Gueye over Doherty. I would start Perisic. No, it's so close. I've got Doherty above him on the benching dilemmas. He's a toss of coin. I think Doherty because I just think there's more chance for a start. There you go. Out of the 2. John Cahill says, morning James, mate. That's what I've just done over about 5 minutes. About 11 minutes deadline, by the way, guys. Make sure you're getting your teams locked in. Brian Lloyd says, Aubameyang out for -4 for Jesus or Darwin, probably. Nah. Not for me. If you get news that Darwin's starting and you want to go that way, fine, by all means, crack on. LP says Saka and Greenwood for Andreas and Solanke, playing 5 in midfield, already have Foden. Cheers. Yeah, fine. I think look, now the blank's gone, you can go to a really cheapie up front. I'd go to Archer though, rather than Greenwood. Yeah, who knows? Whoever comes in might decide to stick him in the team. I'd go to Archer. Rube says, do you think Soufal will start? No. Darren Shannon, James Milner report he's starting. Yep, we've got that. Bronny and Bronze, these Spurs wingbacks have done my head in all season. Yeah, he's a pain in the arse, mate. I did say I'd be happy with 8 points from Doherty in the 2 games just gone. I got 7. I was close. I had to be getting Foden or Saka in. I think particularly Foden, so that had to take priority for me this week. Philip XYZ, morning James. Any merit in starting Tarkowski over Doherty, assuming Doherty will be a sub? Thanks. So I've covered this plenty. I wouldn't, unless have you got real confidence. If you really believe, like again, I said it earlier about Gay. I say it now about Tarkowski. If you really, really fancy these guys to keep a clean sheet, fine. Yes, start them over Doherty. I don't. That's why I'm not. Well, I don't in the Palace case. I think Everton Palace be 1-1. I don't see the point. Dixie Nomad says, morning James, play Gomez or Almiron, and would you go Salah over Haaland captain? I've had a bad start. Cheers. That you don't need to. If you've had a bad start, I've spoken about this a few times, you can make up rank without having to thump the captaincy somewhere else. Because every time that you get it right, there'll be one that damages you, for example. There's a long way to go. Long way to go in this season. We're hitting like a third this game week, basically. So, no, I would still go Haaland captain. Would I pick Gomez over Almiron? Probably yes, I think is probably the answer to that question. Andrew Gronin says, hi James, out of Perisic, Doherty, Trossard, Andreas, who do you think has the best chance of returning better than 1-2 points this week? I think De Zerbi starts Trossard up top. The best chance I'm going to say is Doherty. I still think, yeah. I still think Doherty. Bronny and Bronze, my point of view is that Perisic is versing the best defences game week 8 and minutes risque is versing worst defences game week 8. Fine, mate. It's fine. Fabo says, Trippier or Johnny who'd start trips, mate. Mikael Paulson says, hi, James. I'm sure Darwin is about to explode and I don't want to miss it. Is it totally insane to take out Mitrovic from -4? Thanks, mate. Did you watch Leeds on Thursday night? Okay, hold on. I might have something on the Liverpool team. I'm just checking before I open my mouth if it's legit or not. I suspect it's Booner on a fucking wind-up as usual. Okay, so the Cop HQ, who are pretty reliable, that's Spy on Cop on Twitter, 130,000 Twitter followers. Team News and Ticks has reported, and he's been pretty good on Team News. He's reported that the Liverpool 11 at Nottingham Forest is Alisson, Milner, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho, Thiago, Elliott, Salah, Firmino, Carvalho. So that would be Salah through the middle up front. That's what it appears that we've got. So just to repeat that, there's Alisson in goal. Opportunity, that's a back four of Milner, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho and Thiago in midfield. Elliott to the right, I would guess. Carvalho to the left, and Firmino and Salah up front. I have no reason to believe that information is incorrect. No reason to believe that is incorrect. So I'm going to say Darwin Núñez owners, and those who was just saying you want to take a -4 for him, is going to be a no. Thomas says start Wilson or Trossard. Start Wilson or Trossard. Wilson. Unless you really believe Sudge is a proper jinx. LH says buy VVD or Robbo. Cheers, mate. VVD for me at this stage because I think Robbo's rest might come back around. Stephen Moore says hi, James. Bailey to Martinelli from -4 to bench Gay Justin. I'll do it for free next week. Ross Milicevic says, good morning, James. Just joined. Would you do Zaha to Saka from -4, ready to Trossard to Foden? No. Because I could do it and I'm not. Guy Green says, hello, James. Who would you... Well, I can't. I've already sold Zaha, but I wouldn't. Sorry. Guy Green, hello, James. Who would you recommend that I sell? Son and Andreas for Zaha and Foden? Sorry. Don't sell Sonny, mate. If you got him in there, it's an amazing differential for these last 4 fixtures. If 4 good fixtures for Sonny, don't sell. I'm not saying I would recommend others to buy it, but if he's in there, would you get him in for in the first place? Right. I keep Sonny at the minute, mate, honestly. Jack Brain says, Sky question, James, would you go from Mitrovic to Schumacher on Monday night to cover captaincy? Yes, I may not because I have Jared Bowen, but yes, that's perfectly reasonable. We discussed this on Wednesday's pod. Mark Erkstein says, morning, James. Maddison to Foden for my 1-free transfer. Yeah, okay. John Cahill, Foden, Bobby or Martinelli for the vice cap. Haven't got Salah. Oops. Well, I think Firmino is quite a sensible vice captain option at this point, as it looks almost certain he's going to start. Yep, thanks, Thomas. Got that. Simon B. already taken -4 to rectify some poor decisions. Would you take another -4 to get Jesus or Darwin if he starts for Aubameyang? No. P. Macca says, no question, mate. Just want to thank you and James for a cracking channel, fella. I am James, but thank you, mate. GP, how is a VAR checked headbutt red card getting overturned? Makes a mockery of VAR. It didn't look a headbutt to me at the time. Might have cost Gerrard his job. I think he was getting binned anyway, mate. But yes, it is stupid. Luke Curtis says, morning, James. Wildcard. Looking to go Mitrovic to Jesus, but need to facilitate Zaha to either Barnes, Rashford, or Zaha and Anderson to Murphy and Trent. Well, Trent, we don't think is going to start, as we've covered, Luke, so that's off the table, I think, at this minute in time. Rashford would be the preference over Barnes at this moment. Shantaro says, Saka or Zaha on wildcard? Saka, mate. Nicolo says, holla, champion. Hello. Hola. Mikael Paulson, good that sanity prevailed. It was never a red card, and Doug Louise, I was baffled by a horrendous decision. VAR is a shambles. Bryce Stevens, Kepa or Ward? I'd start Ward. There you go. I appear missing. Let's Talk FPL is saying Trent is benched. Yes, we've covered this a number of times. Thank you for making me repeat something that I don't need to. Shazad says, who to start, Ward or Gator? I'd go Ward. Doherty or Gay? I've gone Doherty. Isaac Stairs, morning James. How long do you envision keeping Solanke for? Best of luck. Possibly till the end. It's dependent. I'm looking at the idea of potentially next week benching him because I've got Gay at home to Southampton, Prayer at home to Everton, which I've been far happier with than what I've got this week. And it might be that I do that and wait, and then the following week I can go Solanke to Shamaka. So that might be what I'm looking at, possibly, but we'll see. Ben Costin, all right, mate. Have to bench one out of Trips, Doherty or Rashford. Jesus Christ. Okay, the logical answer for me to tell you right now is Doherty. Marcus Wyatt, all right, James. I'm bench boosting this game week. Worth a -4 for Bailey to Andreas. Cheers. Nah, not at all. That's even less reason, I think. Good luck, though. Play it your way, as I always say. Sean McGing says, hi, James Kepper. Ward is covered for this week for the wild card, Pickford. Adam Clark, hi, James. Start Trippier or Saliba. That's a Saliba, isn't it? Chim says, Solanke to Jesus worth a -4. Only have Martinelli as Arsenal coverage. No. I wonder if I can afford that. Minute to deadline. I don't think I can. I'm going to say no. No, I can't. It did make me question, like, why have no thought about that? No, I can't. I don't have enough in the bank to do it. I'm going to say no, though. We're about minute to deadline, guys, so please do make sure you're getting those teams locked in. Check me own. Since I fucked around with a bench. Yes, I moved Andreas to first sub rather than Gay. Gugoyle, too early to triple captain. Yeah, just no. David Soft, start double Newcastle or double Leicester defence. Double Leicester defence. God, it's arguably the Leicester guys this week. No, but like, I'd play Trippier over Castagno, for example. But in goal, I'll go Ward over Pope. Shazad says start Ward or Gator. I think I've done that one. Tommy Gonzo, start Andreas or Gay. I lean to Andreas now, I think, actually. Andreas says Solanke or Andreas. Thanks, James. I've gone Solanke. Alex Puri, non-FPL, mate. Which is perfect timing because I believe it's 11 o'clock. So, sorry to those EDs. Deadline is struck. Non-FPL, says Alex. What's the best goal you've seen live that hasn't been scored by a Spurs player? Ah, God. I mean, those ones tend to get out of my head a bit quicker. Can I say, do you know what? Because I was trying to just race through Premier League years in my head. Ryan Giggs, 92-93, 1 up at White Hart Lane. For those who didn't get to your questions, I hope we've covered most of it. I just wish someone had asked me about Doherty and Perisic. But thank you. If you came for just the FPL stuff, smash a like, hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost anything to hit the like button. Hit the sub button, get notified of whenever we put content out. If anyone's got non-FPL questions, smash them in the chat now. I'll happily go through some of them over the next 10-15 minutes or so. And then I'd badly need a haircut and a shave before the football, to be honest. Content. So, Monday, Suj will be back with me for the Gameweek 13 review on Monday. Tuesday, as mentioned yesterday, Lee Jackson will be joining me for the fan view to get all the latest on Aston Villa. We might have some managerial updates to that, but we'll record it at the time. We'll get it out quite quickly for you. But we'll be speaking more about Steven Gerrard's reign and where it went wrong and stuff, and why Villa fans were so desperate to get rid of him. And you might be thinking, so where's the Wolves chat? Well, that's Thursday Clash to Correspondence. Brentford versus Wolves with Tom Med and Bradley Parker. Wednesday, Sky Fantasy Football. Friday, I haven't decided yet, but it'll probably be an Ask James stream. It probably won't be at 8 a.m. It will probably be at a more reasonable time. Deadline stream, I believe, is same time next week, 10 a.m. UK time next Saturday. If you want to support our content, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Support the content because you'd either want additional content or you just want to give some thanks. You can support the content from £3 a month. That gets you into the Slack channel, which has people going, Andy said, and things like that on the team days. I should say as well. Thank you to Tim. Thank you to Ben. Thank you to Phil. It's easy, guys, not to DM me, but just tag me in Slack. So thank you, David Dobson, as well. Just so other people know that I've been tagged. Otherwise, I'm getting a million tags. But I appreciate the effort, guys, to try and keep me informed on the Liverpool news. Thank you, Chris Tellez. And thank you, Darren, also Reclose as well. Patreon content from intermediate tier next week. We've got Q&A Monday, Champions League Fantasy Preview on Tuesday. Wednesday will be Tottenham. Thursday will be quiz, most likely. Friday will be our Game Week 14 preview. And there's additional advanced tier video content throughout the week as well, which includes Talking Tactics next Thursday, which, subject to what I see on Chelsea Manchester United tonight, we'll be looking at Manchester United's off-the-ball pressing against Tottenham. That's what I'd like to do, because they were outstanding in terms of how they did it. But yes, we'd love to have your support on patreon.com/planetfpl. Without the support of our patrons, streams like this do not happen. It is as simple as that now, guys. But thank you very much. Josh Telling says, like the stream, guys. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, smash a like, guys. Let's get that beyond 200 at least. Come on, guys. David Hannigan says, sell Maddison for -4. This go. Yeah, did you run out of time? Because deadline's gone, mate. GP says, thanks, James. Great stream as always. Neil Kager says, hi, James. Thanks as always, James. Far too early here at 6 a.m, so back to sleep for me. Enjoy the matches this weekend, Neil, and to you too, my friend. Lamichi, Sky question. Romero to Foden, worth the move? It's a good question. I'm going to say no. Does Foden outscore Romero over the 4 weeks? I'm sure he does. There might be some passing tiers for Tottenham in a couple of these games. Possibly even tomorrow, actually. And Bournemouth away the following week. Not the last two, I wouldn't have thought. That said, once Leeds tire, it could be that the numbers go up quite a bit for Tottenham in the second half of that fixture. So I just think it's a case of, look, does Foden outscore Romero enough to make that transfer justifiable at this stage? You're not going to captain him, I presume, because of Haaland. So I'm going to say no, mate. Martin Boyle says Sky plans for this week, mate. Well, I think I might be done, actually. It's possible. I bought Mitrovic Thursday night. So I might be done. There's 0.9 in the bank or so. I'm on my toes for stuff that could happen with injuries. I've got Martinelli and Saliba, so I don't think I'm going to be adding to that for Arsenal. I've got Cancello, Foden and Haaland in already. So I don't think I can't see me adding to that. I have Salah for Liverpool, so that's okay. So I think I'll captain Haaland today. Tomorrow, probably going to go Martinelli captaincy. Monday, I have Bowen. Obviously, if I have an injury today, it might bring me back to Arsenal or Tottenham tomorrow. If I have an injury on Sunday or today, it might lead me to double up on West Ham Monday and go Schumacher with Bowen. Is a possibility. But otherwise, I could be done here, possibly. I mean, I'm down to about 31 transfer. I've used more than I would have liked and more than most engaged players, I think. I might be done. That might be me out from here, I think. Phil McMahon says, I'm very stuck on Salah or Haaland captain Sky. Guts is Salah. Play it my way, so that's probably where I'm going. Yeah, absolutely fine, Phil. If you have a true belief that Mo's the one that's going to go off today, then captain Mo. Can Mo Salah outscore Haaland today? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think just be conscious, Phil, that with Sky, and this isn't to say what to do, like because you said you're going to Mo, just remember that the ownership in Sky, you have to be far more cautious, I think, than you do in FPL. And that's changed a little bit this year because Haaland's FPL ownership is like nothing we've seen before, basically. Even well beyond, say, Salah of previous seasons and stuff. So just bear that in mind, that's all. But if you want to go for Salah, mate, I'll give that a thumbs up. Mo says, what do you reckon this Darwin fella, James? At times he looks like Sunday League player, but his movement is incredible and gets so many shots off. It's that. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I spoke about him quite a bit on the podcast after they lost to Arsenal, and said, like, whoa, he's his movement. Oh my goodness. He's really good. Really good. In and around the penalty box it can improve. But his actual movement in general playing stuff is really, really good. But I also said that he had moments on the ball where he looked almost a little bit clumsy, actually. So look, I think that'll come. He's still quite a young player. He's obviously just joined the league. I don't know what the language situation is like for him, if he's speaking English or not. But there's a player there. There's definitely a player there. But I think you will have days with him where, like against West Ham in the first half, could have got 3 or 4 the other night, right? But I think you'll also have moments where you think, God, he looks terrible. I just think that's what it's going to be with him. Potentially he's going to hog the XG off of Mo. I'll certainly be keeping an eye on what's happening with him over the next week or so. I can't get to him from Solanke in one move, but if say something happened to Mitrovic, and I'll look at Leeds at home next week if I think he's going to play, and possibly look at that again. I had not enough confidence to be taking hits this week in that. Big Geeks says, Sky question, only plan one transfer now. Watkins to Bowen for Monday. This sees me 37 transfers after the break. Is that too much? It's about 10 less than Suj, mate. No, it's fine, mate. It's fine. Plus, it's the first season with 50, and it's a very, very different season in the sense of the unlimited transfers or overhaul period, as it's known in Sky, coming at this period because of the World Cup. It's very different. So none of us actually played it this way, really. I don't think any of us could even say right now, oh, that's the right amount of transfers that we should all have left. The more you've got left, the better. That's the only way I could look at it. Colin Bugler saying, hit the like. Thank you, mate. Static says, non-FPL, who would you like to see as your manager after Conte? I think I would want a very different style of manager. I'd like Tottenham's next manager to, and it might take some time to go down the route stylistically that Arsenal were currently going down, if I'm totally honest, which we've had previously with Pochettino, with this young, vibrant team and being able to work hard off the ball and the way they play. So that's what I'd like. Managers available. I mean, it depends when it's available, right? I mean, if Klopp left Liverpool, is he available? Could I have Klopp or Guardiola still? I'm fairly certain that if Conte walked out tomorrow, that Tottenham would go for Thomas Tuchel, by the way. And I think Tuchel's elite, but I just think it's another one where it's just so short term, isn't it? I was so impressed with Roberto Mancini's Italy last summer, and I'm a little bit surprised that he's perhaps held his job despite not qualifying for the World Cup. So that maybe after the Euros, someone like him might be available. I think his teams play some great football when they're at their best. I think he's very clever tactically as well. Is that quite so free-flowing as maybe what it's difficult to desire. It might be, asked me in 6 months, I might say Roberto De Zerbi, for example, right? So, I think I'd like to go down the idea of the German kind of model of coaching, if you will. So maybe someone like a Nagelsmann would be available then, but I don't think Bayern are even playing with the same vibrancy that they normally do. So is there anyone out there where I could look at now and say, yeah, sack Conte, get him? No. And I don't think, I've said this numerous times, I don't think getting Pochettino back is the right idea. I believe that so strongly. I think that's a terrible idea. And that's also the kind of second most likely thing to happen, I think. Like Poch I'd have back in like 5-6 years when the whole of the current team's gone. Now, no. Not while there's still players there that let him down. I think it's a really bad idea. James Nelson, now Potter is at Chelsea. Southgate does leave after the World Cup. Who would you think is favourite to stay at the England job? Thanks for all you do, James. Thomas Tuchel. Yeah, why not? Fuck it. Why not? And put a load of money in front of his face. Yeah, why not? My honest thoughts is at the moment that England will probably have to look foreign. I think, yeah. Because the best English ones are not available, but you know that they will be at some. Howe or Apostle will most likely probably be England manager in the future, or Cooper's got more experience, or someone similar, for example. But at the moment, I don't think any of them are in a position to be taking the job. I mean, you wouldn't give it to fucking Steven Gerrard right now, would you? So I think the idea of actually getting someone in and just targeting winning the next tournament until one of these other English guys is more ready. So you sell it as almost like a short term. Look, to Tuchel, just do it till 24. That's it. Just do it till 24. That's it. You finish. You're done. I think something England should strongly consider if Gareth Southgate was to be removed from the job. Gareth James says, hi James, good luck this week, mate, and thanks for the content. A tough week mentally has been made much better by you guys' podcast. Thanks for keeping me sane. You're very welcome, mate. It's always very humbling to hear that we may have helped in any way. Look, my DMs, I say this all the time, and I don't think people think I'm joking or not, but I'm not interested in people's DMs about, oh, what do you think of my team? I can be honest with you, I spend enough time during the week answering questions. I'm not that bothered. My DMs are only open for people like you, Gareth, if you want to slide in and just have a chat about whatever. So you feel free to do that anytime, mate. Gareth says, on a different note, did you see the deceased chickpea that won a prize at the Ballon d'Or? It was a posthumous award. I'll get my coat. Yeah, get your coat. You can still come into my DMs. Cyanide 69. Is Poch most likely to manage Villa? Well, the rumours from The Athletic were that he wouldn't consider the job. Big Geek. Exact money available for Zaha to Foden in Sky. Nah. Again, does Foden outscore him? Probably. Does he outscore him enough for that to be worthwhile? I'm going to say no. Well said, Static. Thank you, mate. Prabesh De House says, hey, James, what are your memories from Martin Joel years? I love the Martin Joel years. Very different reasons. I think Martin Joel still really loved by Tottenham fans. And I know there's a lot that disagree with that. I mean, I'd be defended badly for the majority of Martin Joel's reign and survived mainly when Ledley played or when Michael Dawson had a good day. But Martin Joel, I think this is important. Martin Joel gave Tottenham fans a smile that they hadn't had for 10 plus years, really. Because the end of the 90s and the early 90s was just bland shit, man. Terrible. And then under the period where Martin Joel took over in late 04 to when he left in late 07, those 3 years were fun. We played some good football. We had some exciting forwards. He brought in good young players like Aaron Lennon, Tom Huddleston he introduced into the team. Michael Dawson, I'm sure, was a Martin Joel signing as well. Trying to remember. Paul Robinson was. Michael Carrick was all under Martin Joel that they kind of got into the team. I think a few of them were bought maybe by Santini, but kind of settled as first choice under Martin Joel. So it was good. Like, when I look back on it now, was the football incredible, or did we have a great philosophy? No, but I tell you what, go to Tottenham, it was fun. Most weeks it was fun. Sometimes we got our pants pulled down, but it was good. Martin Joel helped Tottenham fans smile again. He was the start. We so nearly finished fourth under him. We finished fifth twice in a row, and we hadn't been anywhere near that for the years before that. So Martin Joel deserves massive credit for being the start of something with Tottenham, and it needed someone to start it, to get it out of mid-table mediocrity, and he did it. So he will always be held in very good regard, and I think he was a very, very well liked person as well. Will Bill says, hey James, we'll get Saka next week. Should I take a hit to do Rishi Sunak or Boris Johnson for Liz Truss? Shouldn't comment on politics, should I? That might upset some people. What a farce. Let's move on. Safe or baby? So I'll leave the politics stuff to Serge because he's less bothered about upsetting people. Safe or baby says, hi James, joined the stream late. Sorry for repeating this question. What's the logic behind starting Doherty? The logic behind starting Doherty is I think he could start. That's it. And I don't think he will. The logic behind starting it, honestly, truthfully, is I don't expect anything from any of my bench this week. Nothing. And if Doherty starts, although I wouldn't expect anything from him either particularly, it's the capability of what the ceiling could be. So that's all. I would be gutted, if I started Gaiety and Doherty starts. Whereas if Doherty doesn't start, this is my expectation. If Gaiety does get a return at Everton, so be it. generally where I'm at with it. So you might say it's not logic, but that's the logic I've gone with. Similar logic to a lot of people telling me last week, you can't start Mitrovic. So Matthew Hog, it worked for me last week. I suspect it won't this week, in fairness. Matthew Hogban says, hello, James. Hope you're well. Sky question. Worth bringing in Koulibaly today for a Kanji? No, I wouldn't go anywhere near that, mate. What's the thinking there? Koulibaly in for a Kanji? No. Do you mean that the other way round? I've actually got to be questioning, mate. No. But I wouldn't do either. Wayne Jones. Wonder if Southgate to Spurs after the World Cup will pick up. I'd be surprised now. But it wouldn't shock me. Let me put it that way. It wouldn't shock me. I think Southgate is well regarded within the corridors at White Hart Lane. Francis Logan, excuse me, says, Brill stream. Cheers, James. Thank you, mate. Ben Costner, if you could sign for Spurs any player from a London team, who would it be? It's a great question. Because I don't just want to go with the kind of, he's the best player stuff. The thing is with Tottenham, and I think we still need another centre back. We still need 2 wing backs. I think we need another midfield player. We need a midfield creative player. We need another attacking player. There's still so much that squad needs to be real top end competitive. I would say this would be a controversial one. I'm going to say Matyakovich at Chelsea. I think would be so ideal from what I'd want from a midfield player at the moment. That would say him. This isn't me overlooking people like Saka and even Declan Rice and stuff. I just think Kovacic would be great for what Tottenham want in a central midfield player. And I still think it's a problem for us. I still think it's a problem. And Bentancur and Højbjerg, as you know, I've said plenty of times, have been really good for us this season. They had a bad night Wednesday. Everyone had a bad night. It happens. So I'd say Kovacic. The other name that's really in my head is Elite. I was going to say Elise. He's Eze. I love. And actually, Elise, I think, would be great for Tottenham as a kind of 5th, 6th forward going forward, as well as like Lucas and Gil replacements. I think Elise has a skill set that's actually not too dissimilar to Kulusevski, and it's so obvious that missing Kulusevski at the moment. Actually, to have someone like Michael Elise who could come in and play a very similar role, I think would be great. So I really like Michael Elise. I think I've been saying since it was a game at Sheffield United in the lockdown season, or behind closed doors season, where we had a game at Sheffield United, and I became convinced watching the game that he'd go on and become a central midfield player that ends up playing deeper. So I really like Eze as well. So throw those 2 names into the hat as well. Good question, like that. Big Geek says, your DMs don't look open on Twitter. Is it somewhere else? My DMs are open on Twitter, mate. They absolutely are open on Twitter. If it can someone verify, but yeah, my DMs certainly are open, because I get DMs from people I don't know all the time. Are my DM? Has someone locked my DMs that I'm not aware of? I'll have a look at it afterwards, mate. See if something. But my DMs should be open. If they're not, I'll certainly. It just made me. I tell you what, just made me think. I've not had message requests for quite a while. It's just made me wonder if somehow they have got shut, possibly. But I'll get it open, mate. Yogesh says, Dear James, any favourite Pringles flavour? Oh. The thing is, the ones like salt and vinegar and prawn cocktail, they can be a bit hit or miss on like the flavour, I find. So I think we'll go with the barbecue. Relic returns. Harry Redknapp doesn't get enough credit. Harry did great as well. Harry was ideal for Tottenham because then it went so far the other way where we needed to get out of trouble. The difference was, I mean, you think back to that team that were 2 points from 8 games, and you look at the team, and how is it even possible? I mean, the players we had, Modric, Bale, Mike, how did we end up in that position? Anyway, So I think, yes, Harry did great, and he took it to a place that I never thought I'd get to with the Champions League and stuff. He took it that step further. I think he did great. Harry Redknapp, another one remembered fondly. It was right for him to go, as it probably became right for Martin Jol to go as well. I think Martin will be remembered more fondly. With Redknapp, there was the stuff like the flirting with the England job and stuff. It just didn't hold the same. But yeah, loved Harry as well. Addy Tour says, hi James, how was Morpay able to come on the pitch wearing blue socks when the other Everton players were wearing white socks? What? I don't know anything about that, mate. Tag me to something and show me. Owen Jones says, James, did you ever go to Ninian Park before we moved? Remember an FA Cup 0-0? Wondered if you went in moons ago. 06-07 season that was. Yeah, we drew 0-0. We were a little bit lucky. It was 4:30 on a Sunday. No, didn't go. Never went. The replay, there was so much trouble, by the way, you probably know. The replay at Tottenham 10 days later was the biggest police presence I've ever seen at Tottenham for a football match. Honestly. They built up on the away end. They actually built up like temporary walls where the only way a Cardiff fan could go to the game was if they went inside via a coach directly from Cardiff. Because there was going to be so much trouble. I'd never seen anything like it. Interesting lot. Lin Tian Bao says, hey James, do you think Santos could end up with the Wolves job, possibly the final World Cup for Ronaldo as well, so won't be surprised if Santos leaves? Most importantly, he's Portuguese. Yeah, I spoke about this yesterday, wondering if it might be a World Cup manager. Glenn Murray says, best Sky captain for Sunday. Wait until you see the Southampton team, but my instinct on that is an Arsenal attacker and take your pick. I think it could be close between Jesus, Martinelli and Saka. But yeah, it's arguably one of them over Kane, I think. Matthew Hogburn, yeah, got it wrong way round. You thought it was strange. I wouldn't do it either anyway, though, mate. Austin Parrish says, Reece James, thanks. El Padrino says, Rice or James, surely. What were you in ref? I don't know what. Oh, you're referring to bringing to the team. Yeah, Reece James, a good shout. You're talking about Tottenham players bringing for Tottenham. Yeah, Reece James, a very good shout. I always think if you can fix the midfield area, though, it fixes a lot of the rest a lot quicker. I mean, again, talking about Mr. Dembele coming out the ground the other night, it always feels like that after a game like that. No way we just get dominated like that with him. Rob Westerway, which patron tier will the United pressing video be? If I do it, I'm not promising I'll do it, but I probably will do it. It will be on advance, to be honest, Rob. Mikel Pawson says, what about Odegaard? A bit creation in the middle. Yeah, decent shout. I'm just trying to think. Would I pick him over? Yeah, I mean, Odegaard's a very fair shout. I mean, I can't argue with it. But he plays for Arsenal. I'm less keen. El Padrino says Eze is mustard. Tom Burke, if Kovacic had final product, he would be top 3 midfielder in the world. Tom Burke says Harry was the best manager Tottenham had. Should never have been sacked at the time. He completely lost the dressing room, Tom. Joel Holmes says Curtis Jones starting over Thiago now. Oh, is that right? Interesting. Okay. All right, I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I've got bits I need to do and I want to watch football myself. Have a great weekend. As always, smash a like, hit the subscribe button before you're back. Enjoy the football. Hope your arrows are green. Me and Suj will be back Monday. Thanks very much. Ciao for now.